So just to let you know, the meeting is recorded, and that is just for the purpose of minutes. Chris?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead, and I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the land of the Kwantlen and Kedzee Nations and recognize that we do live, work, and play here. Thank you very much. Next. Oh, we're having it. Chris looks like he's frozen.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
He's back.
There we go.
Okay, I'll turn off my video. Hopefully that'll help.
There we go. Grateful for the work of our pack and Dpac and our packs that take place on the traditional and unceded territories. And we are going on to agenda. Oh, it's a good one. Okay. Everybody wants to take a look at our agenda for this evening. It is a bit action-packed, and so we're going to go on. And if we can pull up the poll for the adoption of the agenda, it was sent out on email as well. We do have one addition of Kevin Whalen, and he is the athletic director to Garibaldi Secondary School. Can we have somebody move?
Crystal from Tuscanela.
Thank you. Seconded?
Juliet from
Juliet.
Thank you. And I'll pop full. Here we go. Okay, I'm just going to give it another couple seconds here. Okay, motion's carried. The agenda is adopted as presented. Next. Approval of the April 15th, 2021 minutes. These were sent out via email. We are a little bit behind. We are getting caught up though, so we're going to move past 2 sets of minutes tonight. Can I have a Dpac rep please move that we accept the minutes of April 15th as distributed?
Juliet.
Seconded?
And GSS rep.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All in favor of accepting the minutes as distributed? Okay, give it another couple seconds and the minutes of April 15th have been approved. Next. Approval of minutes from May Can I please have somebody move that the Dpac minutes of May 20th, 2021 be approved as distributed?
MRSS Dpac and GSS rep.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay. And April, sorry. The May 20th minutes as approved, approved as distributed. Okay. Give it another couple seconds. Okay. And the minutes of May 20th are approved as distributed. Next. My name is Tanya Sargent, and I am currently the Dpac rep to BCCPAC, and I will be chairing the meeting this evening. Thank you very much. Next. We now have a presentation from Kevin Whalen. He is the athletic director from Garibaldi Secondary School, and he will be speaking to us. Thank you very much.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Mhm.
Is it okay if I share my screen? Do I have that ability?
Yeah. There. Yes.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm beginning. Okay, that's visible. Okay, first of all, I didn't expect such an audience. I've never been to one of these, so thanks for having me. Some context, I am one of the 6 athletic directors, and we sit at each of the secondary schools. We're all teachers first, and this is something that we do because we love. And I've done this now for 4 years. My colleagues, all of which have been in the position for a lot longer than I have. So I basically put this together to share to my own pack, because the people that do the job tend to do it for a long time, and those that don't really get into the position don't understand what the job actually entails. So I was using this as an opportunity to inform everybody about the actual depth of the position, in the hope that along the line somewhere that we could get more recognition for what we're doing at each school. So some of the stuff here might just apply to GSS. I looked through the slides, but I can skip through as we go. If you have questions, I guess you can stop me at any time and I can answer. Okay, so this is us on paper. We also, our association encompasses the private schools, independent schools around us. So Maple Ridge Christian School and Meadow Ridge Secondary School. That's just a list of who we are. You probably recognize those names, some of them. This is just a bit about us before COVID, where we're heading. Being the fastest growing secondary school, things were really expanding quite fast. Grade 8 boys won the district championship basketball and came third at the Fraser North. So this first piece here is some of the stuff pulled directly from the BC School Sports documentation. Basically, BC School Sports is as athletic directors, our sort of governing body. So they dictate a lot of what we do and the responsibilities associated with our role. So this just sort of outlines what the role of the local association is. Scope of responsibility for us as an association. I won't bore you with the details. This is recorded, so I guess you can go back and have a look at all that. And this is the stuff that I put together. So each school is slightly different, depending on a lot of things: school culture, the clientele, the people, the staff in the building, the amount of kids in the building plays a big role as well. But for us at GSS, this is what I've sort of created as what I actually do. So this is the daily stuff, and I've sort of categorized it into daily, seasonal, and annual. Seasonal being 3 times a year. And again, I won't read it all for you. So yeah, basically the seasonal stuff, like I said, happens three times a year. We've got our fall sports, our winter sports, and our spring sports, all of which are different and bring their own baggage. And there's some stuff that some schools do differently. Like we're the only school that doesn't have a turf field. So part of my duties has to be actually lining the field, or I can allocate that to a coach. Typically, I end up doing it. Again, more details here. We tend to host the school volleyball championships at the elementary level. We've done that the last 2 or 3 years. And that's by choice. We love hosting the elementary kids, and that's a great opportunity for my senior students to be a part of that experience for the young ones. Seniors and seasonal stuff continued, talking more about fees, making sure they're paid on time. 3 levels of fees: local, zone, and then BC school sports. And then the registering of all the students at each school, at my school. And there's some baggage that come with international students and transfer students. And again, this is a seasonal thing, so 3 times a year. And then some sort of, the day-to-day stuff that happens if coaches can't do it, like washing uniforms, keeping inventory is very important. And then more registering. This is the annual stuff. I spoke about fees there. We have broken up from the original Fraser Valley, as you may have heard previously. Now we're in 3 separate zones. We have Fraser North, where in partnership with Coquitlam, Burnaby, and New West, we make up the Fraser North. This is a comparison between all the school districts on what athletic directors get for their position. We're at the bottom. We don't have anything. This is sort of part of my long-term mission, is to get us sort of up to speed with everybody else. And that was all public information. That's from all CBAs that are all public. The Fraser Valley split I spoke about. This is a big deal for us because it has changed who we play against. So Fraser Valley's typically, we would go to Abbotsford, sometimes Chilliwack, Langley, Surrey especially, but that's not the case anymore. Now we have to go to Burnaby, Coquitlam, New West. It doesn't change much in terms of logistics, but it does change the level of competition. These, especially Burnaby, Coquitlam, have historically rich athletic programs. So we're up against it as it is. But the more important piece from my position is the fact that now we have 3 times as many positions because we've been divided 3 times. So we're being asked to fill those positions as athletic directors. And 3 of which that make up our 6 have stepped up to do that. I didn't feel I was at the level yet to do that, but like I said in my opening, my colleagues have quite a bit more experience than I have. This last piece here, I touch on at the end as well. We're actually hosting this year 7 zone championships. So I forget which ones they are, but there's a few basketball, there's a few soccer, of which take massive amount of organization. And we have to have volunteers to fill those positions, or they don't happen. We'll have to move them back to Coquitlam or Burnaby. And that's coming up this next school year. Fingers crossed none of this happens or needs to happen in September, but I feel like there's going to be some things still there. This is directly from BC School Sports, again, outlining their perspective on our role in regards to enforcing COVID-19 guidelines. None of this of which really we had to do this year because it was basically a non-starter for the whole year. I feel it's important to link athletics and SEL. I think I might be biased, but I think we are probably one of the richest sources of SEL at the secondary level. Speaking to kids this year has been pretty heartbreaking because they've had the whole year without athletics and they're really looking forward to being back in the school, outside of school, if that makes sense. There's a couple of videos there if you get time to look at those, they're really useful. This was more about the school, as well as the position. So where would we like to be? Ideally, in line with other districts, as well as the rebirthing process this next year is going to be a massive undertaking. So what does that look like? We don't really know. As athletic directors, we've never had to do a full reboot like this on top of hosting the championships, on top of COVID-19 guidelines. And that was my intent here, to bring it to Dpac, just to inform everyone about what we do. And I think in my discovery the last sort of, I guess, 2 years now, going through all the correct channels, just the lack of awareness as to what we actually do is part of the problem. And once we have these conversations, it seems like a light switch turns on, and then more people are enlightened, and okay, this is a big deal. Yeah, that's really all I've got, I think, at this stage. Any questions?
Did anybody have any questions for Kevin?
Crickets.
Kevin, as parents, what can we do, like, and as Dpac, what, like, do you just want us to, like, lobby for you, or is there something specific that you would like us to do?
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer. Yeah, I just think being aware, I mean, as volunteers doing this job, it gets harder every year. And yeah, I just knowing what we do, I don't really know what parents can do. I guess it's a matter of discussion through all the correct channels and see how far we can get. But I am concerned, especially, I mean, I've got a young son, I got a second one on the way. I mean, these are my choices. I have my master's starting in August, and then all these things that I'm going to be asked to do. Like, I'd love to say that, yes, I can do these, but it's going to be a real task to get them done, and to get them done properly, because I like to make sure that things are done to the best of my ability. So yeah, that's a hard question to answer. What can parents do? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm looking for my raise hand, but I can't find it. I just wanted to say thank you, Kevin. I had no idea of the work that you did, so thank you for sharing that with us. With older kids, but I'm back at the elementary level, so they've got a ways to get there. But I know that over the course of the last few years that I've been involved with Dpac, we have learned so much about the things that are going on in our district, and this is another piece of it. And I think you know, all of us being volunteers, I certainly recognize, especially when you're volunteering as part of your work structure, I certainly understand that there is a little bit different for recognition as well. So certainly that's something that I think certainly at the secondary level for now, and certainly from us, for parents across the district, we're always trying to let people know the kind of work that people like you are doing in the district. And if there's anything we can do to help with that recognition, and at least pass on that information, like you said, we're certainly happy to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? There's a few comments in the chat there for you as well, Kevin. Thank you very much for coming. You're
Not a
welcome to
problem.
stay if you would like. And it was enlightening. I have been reading the emails and that, so I was aware. And I did actually submit this to the Board of Education last month. Yeah. So thank you very much for coming out and letting us all know.
You're welcome. I'm going to go have some dinner. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Next, we have Superintendent of Schools, Harry Dillon.
Good evening, everyone, and appreciate being here. I'd like to extend my thanks to you all for the volunteer work and the time that you spend serving on PACs. I was a school principal in this district for 11 years, and my boys both went through our schools, and so I certainly have a great appreciation for the work that you do as volunteers. I want to give a bit of an update today on summer school. Deputy Superintendent Durenzi shared with you the summer school planning that we had initiated a few months ago, and I'll provide a bit of an update on that. And of course, I'm sure you've all heard in the news today the update from the Ministry of Education and Dr. Henry around the return to school planning for September. Before I go on to that, I feel compelled to make some comments in relation to the presentation, and I just want to assure all of you as parents that the district truly recognizes, acknowledges, and appreciates all teacher volunteers in our school district. The work of teachers is defined in their collective agreement, and their work is defined specifically to the teaching responsibilities. And everything that falls outside of that is on a voluntary basis. So all of those things that music teachers do in the evenings, the productions, the drama productions that drama teachers put together, the clubs that are organized by teachers, the field trips, the trips abroad outside of COVID, those are all volunteer activities. Teachers are not required to do those, and as employers, we can't require teachers to undertake that. A couple of pieces that I am concerned about in terms of what Mr. Whalen presented. He presented working conditions comparisons to other school districts, and he presented compensation comparisons on one slide to other districts, and those are collective bargaining items. If Mr. Whalen had stayed on this call, I would not have engaged with him on these matters because his union assumes responsibility and authority to bargain those items, not only for athletic directors, but all members of the teachers union. So, and I say that with all respect, all due respect to all of the volunteers, but we have to be, and we will be as a district, I will be as a superintendent, mindful of our obligation and commitment to the collective bargaining process, and the fact that these items that were presented today are in fact working conditions items that sit at the bargaining table. Moving on to summer school, I just wanted to share with you that the uptake has been quite positive, and that was no surprise to us. We've got just over 1,000 students registered for summer school, and that represents about 7% of our student population. We've identified Hammond Elementary to run our elementary program, and we've got a school full of kids there. We've registered 484 students, and 362 of those will be in the English track, and 122 in the French. We've got a bit of a wait list, but we think that we'll be able to accommodate most, if not all, of the students. So every classroom, I think it's 21 classrooms at Hammond Elementary will be dedicated to summer school. In terms of our grade 7 to 8 transition program, and this is quite a unique program. It focuses on infotech and woodwork. It'll be offered at MRSS, and we've got 72 students registered. And these, again, are grade 7 students, and we're supporting their transition to grade 8. Our grade 8 and 9 literacy program has nearly 50 students registered now, and we expect that will run it as well. Our grade 10 to 12 academic classes, that would be classes in the realm of English, math, and science, social studies. We've got nearly 400 students registered there, and we will have enough students at Catesy First Nation to run a K-7 program and possibly include some of their secondary students as well. So all in all, numbers at elementary are up from the past summer and slightly down at the secondary academic course level. But again, those numbers could creep up because we will accommodate additional registrations if there is space. One of the key pieces to summer school that we will be sure to remind parents of is that the current kindergarten to grade 12 health and safety procedures will continue for summer school. And so all of the same protocols, students will remain in their cohort groups for these classes, which will be manageable considering the nature of the programming. And the Fraser Health notification process that I'm sure you have all experienced at some point over the year, where there is a confirmed case, the notification process will be the same as it is now. And we will be sure to have all of the same health and safety procedures in place and the cleaning protocols in place as well. And maybe I'll pause there to see if there's any questions. All right, I'll move on to the provincial government's announcement today. Provincial government announced their new, what they refer to as their K-12 recovery plan, and the BC CDC released sort of a companion document titled Outlook document for the 2021-22 school year. And I think one of the first things I want to say is that neither of those documents that I've just referred to sets firm guidelines for September. Both really set an outlook. And you've probably heard quotes in the news that we're looking to sort of be in near normal. Well, we really won't know how close we are to normal in terms of our procedures until August, when we get the firm guidelines updated. And it'll be at that point that as school district administrators, school district office staff, we will update our protocols, engage in a communication process with parents to ensure that there's understanding. But all signs are that we will be in a better position come September. But as I said, the firm guidelines, the formal guidelines will be provided in August. A few things that are included in the BC CDC document that really give an indication of sort of the outlook of health officials and Ministry of Education staff. I'll just touch on some of these. Really promoting the vaccination. We were advised that we're almost at 76% of our adults have had their first shot now, and 50% of our children aged 12 to 17 have now had their first shot. And so that's a 10% improvement from just a week ago. So those vaccination rates continue to go up. Moving forward, public health will continue to case manage So come September, if there is a confirmed case in a school, in a classroom, they will continue to do the monitoring, the contact tracing to whatever extent is needed, and advise school district staff on any communications and follow-up that is required. In terms of cleaning and disinfection, what they've signaled is that the research is now showing that the risk of COVID transmission from surfaces is much lower than what was first anticipated. And so what they've stated is that they're anticipating that there will be transitioning to sector-specific cleaning practices. What exactly that will mean, we'll have to wait and see, because education is a sector. Office spaces tend to have different guidelines. So in terms of the cleaning protocols, we'll have to wait and see. Ventilation and air exchange, that was an important consideration as we started this school year, and we did quite a bit of work in our school district to improve ventilation and air exchange, and those expectations will continue in September. The cohorts and physical distancing, cohorts and those learning groups that have placed some pretty significant limitations on the flexibility that we normally have in both our elementary schools and secondary schools will not be required come September. Logically tied to that, it's anticipated that the physical distancing of 2 meters between children and staff from different learning groups will no longer apply as well, because of course there won't be learning groups. In terms of extracurricular activities and field trips, what the BC CDC has noted is that it's anticipated that all extracurricular activities and field trips, including inter-school sports and events, these should be aligned and related to the public health guidance and orders for the community setting. So an important piece around alignment of what's required in schools and what's required in the community. And those of you that have children that are graduating this year, I'm sure you're well aware that there's been a bit of a negative disconnect between what is permitted now in the community and the very tight guidelines that continue to be required in the school setting. And the indication is that the hope is that there's alignment and not separate rules depending on whether you're in a school or whether you're in a community setting. The food services, it's anticipated that food services will return to regular operational guidelines, and that would certainly apply to meal programs, cafeterias, fundraisers, hot lunches. So again, but the key word there is it's anticipated. A couple of things that will remain is the daily health check and the recommendation for folks to stay home. That's both for students and staff when you're not feeling well. And the hand hygiene, BC CDC has noted that hand hygiene should continue to be practiced regularly in line with guidance from the BC CDC. And as I said, that guidance could be updated and likely will be updated come mid-August. A couple of other important pieces. There will be no expectation of school districts to run special remote programs as we did this year. This year we had just over 300 students in a remote program based on parental concerns about their children being in a school setting. And that was, we were able to do that because of special federal fund grants that all school districts received. We have already advised the parents of those students, both the elementary and the grade 8 and 9 students, that those programs won't be offered, but we have alternative choices for those parents that would like to continue in that sort of mode of learning. At elementary, we have the Odyssey program, and at secondary, we have DL options that can be considered. And finally, there is funding that's been announced. We don't have the details of it. The province has identified that 43.6 million is being dedicated to support ongoing health and safety measures, support for First Nations and Métis students, for mental health services, and to address learning impacts for students. We don't have at this time what portion of that 43 million will be directed to our school district. But as soon as we have those details, we'll certainly be putting our heads together and starting our planning. And it may very well be that we're simply adding funding in many cases to the supports and programming that we had already built into the upcoming school year budget. A good example would be our mental health strategy, supporting both students and staff. We've got a plan there, a structure, and if there's enhanced funding, we could certainly enhance what we had already envisioned to put into place come September. And at that, I'm going to pause and maybe Madam Chair, our board chair, you may have some other insights into this announcement today around the funding. If you want to jump in and add anything more to that, that would be appreciated.
BCCPAC has been consulted on the impacts on behalf of the parents' standpoint to children returning to school. And one of the things that we did highlight for the ministry was that parents need to be made aware that no one's kids are going to be where they're supposed to be. There is no where they're supposed to be this September. They're going to be doing the best they can. And to recognize that with our educators as well, but that there will be an adjustment period as everybody returns to normal. We're going to see it this summer, even in social and business contexts. It's patience, and then there is the plan to provide further some mental health supports for our students as well through the province and through the district. It'll be a lot of just kind of trickles down, and we need to recognize that our district has actually done an amazing job of helping our kids be in school or be out of school and just support them. My own son returned to school 4 weeks ago, and the school principal was just automatic. She's like, I'll get a counselor to check in with him and see how he's doing and how he's adjusting after being home for months and months. So everybody is very cognizant. We're feeling very positive about this going forward, that this will be a great return to school, hopefully, if our numbers keep as low as they are, and that it will be more like a normal school year that we're used to. The hope, I think, too, is that going forward, the expectation that you would stay home if you had any sort of illness now is just, it's autumn. Just do it. It's hard because we lose work. We can't send them to daycare. We can't. It's hard for families to do that, but it will help keep our spread lower as the different variants come forward. So thank you.
Yeah, if I could just add to some of your comments, I appreciate those added comments from your work at BCCPAC. One of the things that we were able to do in our school district was we accommodated the families, and there was about 360 students that just didn't feel comfortable returning to in class, but 97%, 96 to 97% of our students continued to attend regular in-class instruction. Mind you, on occasion, and certainly some of you as parents would have experienced this, where your child ended up in isolation for up to 10, 14 days. But in terms of in class, I'm quite proud of the work that we were able to do in this school district, and we'll see what the impact has been in terms of learning. We're starting to get some of that information We had a good discussion with our literacy teachers, and you know, it's information that we're collecting, and we'll be looking at to see what does the data tell us, and how do we respond to it.
Yeah, I think it's important to note too that our curriculum does allow for that variance a little, the way it's taught now. Nobody's expected to be all in the exact same place anymore, and that there is the flexibility for this group that's maybe like a unit ahead, and that nobody's expected to be exactly the exact same place anymore. And it's recognize that our students don't learn like that anymore, and that's based on the new curriculum brought forward. That's what the understanding that has been given to myself. So yeah, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Harry, Taylor Bean has a question for you.
Sure.
Yeah, hi, Harry. I'm here to say something when the parent section opens up, but you made a point that I would like to point to later today. Are you going to be here for the whole meeting, or are you going?
No, I will remain on the meeting, but if your question, I'm open to responding now if you want to ask the question.
It'll probably take some time. I don't want to mix up the way things are done. If that's
Okay.
up to you. Yeah. I'll wait if you're here.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Harry.
You're welcome.
And next we have from the Board of School Trustees, I believe we have Corleen here tonight.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one here. I just the trustees have been busy. I don't know if any of you were with us last night. It was a long meeting, just trying to get everything done as it's our last meeting before the end of the year. We had to use one of our rarely used policies where we had to get motions to extend the deadline. We went all the way to about 10 o'clock last night. It's you know, as we started the meeting last night, we acknowledged and recognized the tragedy that unfolded a couple of weeks ago in the Kamloops Residential School that's closed down a few years ago, and the 215 children that were found buried on the grounds, and the fact that our flags are lowered at half-mast and continue to be lowered. We also put out a statement on that horrific find, and our hearts are heavy, and our condolences go out to the Kamloops Day, Shawachim, and the rest of the Indigenous communities around this province and in our nation, and in particular our own Katesy and Kwantlen, and our Indigenous students in our schools and Métis students. It's a difficult time as they process and relive the trauma that really is intergenerational and felt for generations and generations. You know, as a board, we know, like, there's work being done. We know that there is more work to do, and we are very committed to doing that work as a board and as a district. And you will see some of the work that we've undertaken and the work that we plan to take on reconciliation woven within the operation plans of every department in our school district. As Harry mentioned, we had a presentation from our literacy team, which was a really exciting and informative presentation. And as Harry mentioned, there's a lot of data being collected, and some of that is internally collected data that our district has created, and some of that are some of the more provincial assessment pieces. If you're interested in learning a lot more about the literacy data and the many other pieces of data that the district looks at when we rely on our decision making, there's an all learners report that gets tabled usually in September of each year that you can go to, and you'll see, I think it's about 100 pages the last couple of years, and there's a ton of data in there that's really informative. And then this year, when it gets tabled, you may see some slight changes to that report because the province released the framework for enhanced student learning reporting order. All boards of education are required to submit a report by September 30th of each year, And this will be the first year of the mandatory requirement to submit that. We have to take that amazing document that Sylvia Russell has created the last few years, and then Harry will be busy looking into this summer, and shrink it down to 10 pages for FESL, as we call the Enhanced Student Learning Reporting Order. But I think the larger document that has all that data in it will still be tucked away in the background for all of us to review. Just there is a lot. I'll just go through a couple other things. Just, you know, the amendment to the school calendar passed. So there are some changes, 5 minutes added to each day next year. So I went out for consultation for 30 days, and it was the final approval last night. I know there was a question from Dpac around some of the professional learning days and why some of them are midweek. And just, you know, when the professional development committee looks and they do their planning, as well as the Board of Education, we look and approve those calendars. Some of the things that factor into when the professional days are scheduled. One is, you know, it depends. We have to look at teachers. Not all of our teachers work Monday through Friday. Having professional learning days on different days of the week allows for more participation by a larger number of staff. The availability of guest speakers and facilitators. Some of that guides us, and Superintendent Dillon did state last night that Mondays and Fridays are the hardest times for us to book any of those facilitators and guest speakers. The other thing that we've discussed in the past is around student impact, in particular at the secondary level. If you constantly have just a Monday or a Friday with professional days, it's the same days that are being impacted for those secondary students, which means those same classes are getting less in classroom time than other courses. So if they have a course that's on a Wednesday, that one's not being impacted, but especially those Mondays, because of holidays, they're the ones that get impacted the most. So that's another sort of consideration when we're looking at those professional days. I know I'm a parent too. Sometimes we like the Monday and Friday. We can take a long weekend, but we have to look at the district for a whole and why we do professional learning days. And that's the basis behind that. A couple other things. There was just a quick, not a quick update, but there was an update to the strategic plan. Essentially, all we did was move something that was already discussed and already in a different section of our strategic plan, was moved up to a place called priorities and goals. And that's because it's just mandated through FESL. And so we just had to move things into a different area so that we were in line with the reporting order that's coming down from the ministry. You will notice we passed our capital plan bylaw. So every year we submit a capital plan in June. And then when the ministry it gives us information as to what they're actually funding, then it comes to the board and we have to pass a bylaw. There's a couple of things I just want to mention. In there, it talks about seismic upgrades going to PDR, which was in there last year for Pitt Meadows Secondary and Eric Langdon Elementary. Even though it still talks about just being seismic, there are other pieces being worked on. And I just want to caution the Pitt Meadows piece because there's a lot of talk about replacement for Pitt Secondary. And I don't want anybody to think that this document has ruled out replacement. It's just a carryover from last year as we continue through the process. So there's still lots going on. So, you know, I know that people are very anxious to hear about that. So I just want to let you know. And then the other thing that we found out is playgrounds for Davy Jones Elementary and Webster's Corners were on that list as well. As I just mentioned, we do a capital plan submission every June. And of course we pass that. And I would suggest if you have time to go into the agenda, take a look at it. It's a really sort of informative document and shows you everything that we're sort of planning. Well, sorry, let me rephrase that. Everything that we're submitting to the government in hopes to get funding for. So these are the things that we think that we need in our district. And it has things, you know, to deal with the growing district that we are. So we talk about expansions. There's a long list of expansions that will help accommodate that pressures that we're feeling in certain areas of the community. Talks about seismic, major renovations, rebuilds, site acquisition, playgrounds. And I know that Tuscanela, there's been a playground at Tuscanela has been brought up at Dpac. It is on the list. It's the top of the list on our playgrounds. But again, this is our submission. We wait for ministry to announce what they're actually funding. Also some sort of energy upgrades and all those pieces are on there too, and schools are ranked by priority. So, or those submissions are ranked by priority. So it's an interesting document if you ever want to take a look at it. I'd say the biggest and probably the most exciting piece of the work that's going on right now, and we've spoken about this at previous meetings, is the strategic facilities draft plan. Some of you may know that we redid and approved a facilities plan back in 2015, 2016, when I was first elected to the board. And we had just a really robust community consultation process. We had to engage in another review, a couple of reasons. One was because of the change in the class size and composition really shifted what we needed for space for students. And so we reflected on that back in 2018. And we had another draft that was going back out. And of course, we were just about to go back out to the community with it, and COVID hit a year and a half ago, so we weren't able to go out. So now finally, we've been able to redo it and update it even again. And so that document is now on our website. It's about a 200-page document, and it really is the state of where we are. And not only does it talk about sort of the brick and mortar pieces of our district, it also talks about the educational pieces. And so when we go back out in the fall, so the plan is to go into the fall to seek input and consult with the community, which is where Dpac is going to be just so amazing and to help us with that as you get it out through your parent networks. We also are going to talk about that education piece. What do people think they want to see in our schools? And there was a lot that we got out of the educational discussion back in 2015. The thing that you'll also find really interesting is at the back half of the document is it has, let's see if I've got it with me. The back half of the document, I thought I had a copy of it with me on my desk, but it looks like it's shifted. Sorry, it's across the room. The back half of the document is school by school, and it'll tell you the space, square footage, how many students, how many classrooms, the energy management scale. So we've now ranked all of our schools, which ones are the most efficient. It talks about seismic. It talks about FCI, which is the facilities index, tells you how much sort of facilities upgrade is needed at the school. It tells you if there's an area for expansion. Can we put any more portables on that classroom or on that property? If we go to expand a school, is there space to actually build on and extend the actual school building? And those pieces are on there too. So it is on our website underneath our facilities, strategic facilities plan. So just if you could take a look at that, and then again, watch your emails, watch our social media, because that public engagement piece is going to be coming out pretty quickly as we get into September, because this is a document, when it comes back, it's the document that not only helps guide our June submissions for capital, it's our document that we go to our MLAs with. It's the document that we go and we lobby the Minister of Education with. It's that document that shows why we need to have a school expansion. Why do we need a new school? Why do we need to rebuild a new school? Or why do we need a different educational program? It's such an important document for us in that advocacy around getting those new schools. And we can only make it a better document with having input from the community. So I encourage you to check that out. Just so you know, I know because you guys dealt with as you know, City of Maple Ridge is doing a review of their strategic transportation plan. Unfortunately, their survey gave us such a short window, and I think Dpac got into that too, where as a board, we couldn't give input into the survey, although it was geared more towards individuals than groups. So we just passed a motion that allows me to draft some input just on a general 5-point sort of high level. These are things of concern for a school district to submit to their first stage of their strategic plan. I understand from the city there are going to be additional plans, like additional opportunities for them to present their plan and then have community consultation and input. So definitely something to watch. Some of those key areas for us just at that district level, one is around infrastructure, making sure that there are streets and bike lanes and trails and the ability for kids to get to and from school. The other piece is around public transportation. The city is the one that deals with TransLink. They sit at the table, especially into our northern and eastern parts of our district, and that they're consulting with schools around time frame. The other one is around sort of climate change. We know that if we can get people out of cars, it makes a more positive impact on climate change. Safety. Are there safe ways for kids? Are there safe crossings? RCMP, which are also in connection with the city, are they patrolling those school zones? And then also the last piece would be that there is a inclusive and collaborative approach to working between the school district and the city of Maple Ridge on a strategic level around safe transportation to and from school for staff and students. So that was sort of basically what happened last night. Before I go, I know I'm going on really long and it's a busy meeting for you guys. I just need to say thank you so much. It has been a year. I'm a parent too, and the change in what students have been experiencing at school. You know, my son is in high school, so we went from a linear program to a quarter semester, which is a pretty significant change for many. And you know, I'm grateful for our staff because they have supported our students all the way along. But what has made such a big impact are you as the parents, as such a strong partner in getting your kids through this year, this challenging year, and overcoming any of the adversity that they were facing this year, and for your part in keeping our schools safe. The work that you guys did with your screening and keeping your kids home, jumping in and supporting remote learning, not an easy task, and just keeping your kids happy. I can't tell you how many times, as heavy as this last year has been on all of us, well, year and a half now, you drive past the schoolyard and the kids are happy and they're smiling. And that's in part because of the work that you're doing as parents and the community members, just keeping things going and happy. So thank you so much. I wish you all such a restful and happy summer. And I'm happy to take any questions. I see there's a couple of chats. Just from Chris with the Dpac, and yes, check out the Strategic Facilities Plan. Really cool document. And Tanya, I don't know if there's any questions. I don't see any hands up.
I don't see any, no.
No, I'm good.
Thank you, Corleen.
Thank you.
Okay. And from MRTA, I believe we have Martin Dimitrieff here this evening. Martin?
Hi, thanks, Tanya. I thought I'd start by just kind of bouncing off of some of Harry's remarks with regards to the athletic director presentation. Just note he's quite correct that a lot of the items on that one slide were bargaining related items. And just wanted to note, we have as with a lot of our education partnership groups around the province, the BCTF and the MRTA have very democratic processes for recognizing and identifying bargaining priorities. In fact, we just completed our own MRTA bargaining priority survey of our membership just in the last month, getting ready for bargaining in the fall of this next coming school year. We also, I want to note that the items that kind of were up there for a bit, because they're money items, they are considered provincial bargaining items. That's not to say that we don't have any input on that. We, in September of this next school year, will also be electing our MRTA representatives to the BCTF bargaining convention, which all those members will be voting members on the particular bargaining items up for discussion. So I thought and if you're wondering why, if it's a provincial item, are they different all over the place? That's because those weren't provincial items at one time. In fact, you would probably find a majority of those items come from the 90s when those items were locally bargained issues. So there's a little bit of history there. Also, I thought I'd point out that I think all teachers, like parents, are very pleased that it's looking, I liked the term near normal that came from today's press conference when it comes for our outlook on September. I and all teachers, I think, are looking forward to a near normal situation in which Yes, there will still be some protocols and restrictions related to COVID, but they will be nothing like what we've just undertaken. And as Harry noted, we don't have to worry about restrictions in planning around cohorts or learning groups, which makes things a little bit trickier to try and plan around. I am looking forward to seeing some of the further details around some of those particular protocols that will be, it looks like they'll be discussed in August. So we'll probably have some more details after that point. And I really appreciate that the $43.6 million in additional funding that's been allocated for opening in September, and I'm sure our district will make good use of those funds. So yeah, those are the points I wanted to touch on. And if anyone has any questions, I welcome all questions.
I still can't find my raised hand because I don't know why. It's not.
No problem, Chris. Feel free to shoot if you got a question.
Yeah, and as always, Morton, we're all learners and we're all learning about all these different things. We're grateful to hear from Kevin for, certainly what they do. And it's great to hear for what they do so that we can support in whatever way, even if it's just to support them as parent volunteers, if that's something that we can do to help them to lessen the load and that kind of thing. So though we can understand better what's going on from all of our partners, including the MRTA, the trustees, QP, everybody, so that as parents, we can find better ways to have the same goals. At the end of the day, we're all trying to improve learning outcomes. We're all trying to provide better opportunities. And thanks, Morton, for not just this year for your participation. I went to the BCTF parent conference a couple of years ago with you, and you were my handler. And it's those kind of things that we can continue to learn from each other, and that's how we're all going to get to be better. So,
thanks, Chris.
Paulina has a
Martin.
question.
Oh, yeah. Natalie?
Natalie has a question too?
Oh,
Sorry.
No,
No.
Paulina.
Paulina?
I said Paulina. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. No, it's just a question, and it's not from Kevin's presentation, but I did read the letter that went out before from, I don't even know who wrote it. I think they were saying that they wanted time as well to prepare. Like, to me, that kind of, for me, that seems like a no-brainer. I'm not sure. Obviously, there's other things to take into consideration that I don't know about. But as a person from the outside, it does seem pretty reasonable.
Yeah, and I think there are. Yeah, I mean, it certainly is. There is a lot of work there that needs to get done, and certainly release time for that would be, I'm sure, very welcome for them. It is. I should note though that release time itself is a cost item, because you do, if you need a teacher to do that work, they need a TTOC to cover them, and of course that's even further compounded by the fact that we still are in a teaching shortage at the moment. And trying to find replacements for people this particular year, because of all of the COVID needs, people on isolation and whatnot, really strained our system significantly. But even if it were a non-COVID year, our usual demands for replacing teachers are quite significant. So getting that time is a cost item, and it's tricky to fulfill those needs. So yeah,
That makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Any other questions? No. Next, we have CUPE, and we have Kim Plumridge here on behalf of CUPE. Kim?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. Just a really quick report for everybody tonight. We have given away 3 scholarships to students at Thomas Haney, Garibaldi, and Pitt Meadows this year for an amount of $1,500 each. And that's my short report. And I hope you guys all enjoy your summer. And I can't wait to see you guys all in September again.
Any questions for Kim? Thank you, Kim, and thank you for everything you all do for our schools. Enjoy your summer.
Thank you.
Treasurer's report, Paulina.
Okay, I need the next slide, Chris.
I'm-
Didn't bring it written down.
I'm working on the data off my phone, so it's probably a little bit slow.
No worries.
Yeah.
Okay, so our gaming account stands at $3,988.40. Our general account stands at $5,774.38 for a total of $9,762.78. That is as of May 31st, 2021.
Thank you, Paulina. Any questions for Paulina? No? Okay, thank you. Executive reports. Starting with, we do not have a report for the chair or vice chair. So I will call on Paulina first as treasurer.
Great. Okay, so as the Dpac treasurer, I kept track of both the gaming and regular accounts, issued a few checks, less than normal because it was a COVID year. I applied for the gaming grant. As a bracket, please remember to apply before June 30th. I also had the opportunity to sit in on meetings with Sylvia and now Harry to bring up issues of interest representing other PACs. I also sat in on important community meetings such as the Trans Inclusive Workplace Steering Group and Strengthening Resilience Brainstorming Group. It was a great opportunity to see what was happening and become more informed. That's
Thank you, Paulina. Chris, recording secretary.
Okay, I'll try with my video tonight since I'm still camping because I'm supposed to be on vacation, which I sort of kind of am, but not really. My connection's unstable, so I think I'll just go back to my camera off. We've been involved in a number of things over the last year. We have put out information to PACs. We have put information on as the K-12 protocols changed from the province. We have assisted PACs. We've had a number of PACs that have updated their constitution and bylaws in the last year. We have a number of PACs that we contributed or assisted them with their elections. And we've had a lot of questions from PACs. A lot of PACs really do some great work this year, certainly based in advocacy and many other things. And we're really proud. Hopefully, we've been able to support those PACs as much as we can. And we're going to continue to do that. We put out a brief blurb on Treasurer 101 stuff, which we're going to be working on. We put out a brief blurb on how PACs can conduct elections. And we'd hope to do more this year, but we keep getting sidetracked with other stuff. And I just want to say I'm so grateful that we have so many Dpac reps that come to our meetings. It is because of the Dpac reps that that we're able to function. You are the voice of your PACs. You direct your executive as to what you'd like to see. And it is our role as an executive to carry those forward. And we've either brought issues forward from parents, whether it is the damaged clothing in schools, whether it is all kinds of different issues. A lot of the time, we're just looking for answers. And quite often, I think we get reasonable explanations. And we try to pass those on to parents and PACs as best as we can. So, for me, I've really enjoyed being recording secretary this last couple of years. I'm sorry that that I fell behind in some of my duties over the last couple of months, but we had other priorities, and we're all adjusting to priorities, and and sometimes that's how it is. So, but yeah, we've been involved in a number of committees, including like Paulina said, trans-inclusive workplaces, which we're working on. Sort of negotiating into putting into a school type frame, not just for students, but also for parents. We want to educate parents on that, on those issues as well. And many other committees that we've sat on, youth planning table. I had a list of them, but I have so many things on my screen, I can't see them right now. But we regularly sit and we rotate, like Paulina said in some meetings, and really we're looking for executives that are, that aren't, we're not trying to put workload on the executives. We have, one member at large that goes to those kinds of meetings, another member at large goes to another meetings, the chair will go to a different meeting, and all kinds of different things. So it really is about teamwork for us. It's about sharing the workload, and for anything that our executives are interested, we certainly try to make sure that they participate. We've been, like Paulina said, we meet regularly with the superintendent or the deputy superintendent to discuss those issues and or clarify issues or whatever that we can bring forward to parents. And hopefully, with what we've learned as Dpac and PACs, when we pass that information on to parents, it can cut down some of the workload for the district. So hopefully they're not getting as many emails asking the same questions when we can, when we have the answers and we can provide those to our parents. So and we've really worked on building our relationships with our partner groups, and we're going to continue to do that. And also I just want to say too, because I sort of had to figure out where I was this week, but and I meant to do this earlier, but I am privileged to meet on the Stolo unceded traditional territory of the Palalt Kawayak tribes, which is where I'm speaking to you now from, which is different than our Katzie and Kwantlen that we usually speak from. So I'm proud to speak to you from there about that. And really, we just continue to do the work that we can. We really rely on our PACs to send us the questions that you have. There's a lot of information out about all kinds of different things, and if we can focus on the things that you guys are concerned about, then those are things we can focus on. So whether it's one PAC that's looking at active school travel, another PAC that's looking at about keyboarding in schools, and all kinds of other things that we either take to the district or to the ministry for clarification and understanding. And so as we move forward to our elections in the next little bit, for any of the Dpac reps that are here, we do have a couple of vacant positions that will be called for when Amanda gets to that. But I would like you to consider standing for an executive position. And like Paulina said, you really do get a sense of the work that's going on in the district. And when you get a sense of the work that's going on in the district, you can become a better advocate for your parents and your students, because you understand that the framework that we're in. And in this past year it was COVID, and next year it may be something different or similar or whatever, but really understanding the framework that we're in allows us to advocate better, whether we're advocating at the district level or the school level or the provincial level, and understanding where those things are means we can break those down. So I'm just going to put in my spiel that we are looking for at least 2 executive positions as we go on to the next steps. So if there's any Dpac reps or parents that are on this tonight, please consider it. And that's my report as recording secretary. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And now for myself. So I'm the rep to BCCPAC on behalf of Sd42 Dpac. And over the year, I've had the privilege of attending the Dpac Summit, BCCPAC AGM, as well as the Parent Education Conference. I've also attended and participated in Budget Committee of the Whole meetings with the Board of Education, the Community Network, and assisted school PACs with a variety of issues, all through email and Zoom. I'm looking forward to the upcoming school year and seeing everybody in person. And I will, if I need to, I will continue to liaise between Sd42 and BCCPAC. One of the things I like about BCCPAC is it is very policy advocacy based. So if that's kind of your thing, then we'd love to have you. And thank you. Do we have any members at large with reports? Nope, all three are shaking their heads. Okay, thank you. Carrying on. Dpac executive elections. I'm going to turn it over right now to Amanda Woodhull from Yenadin, and thank you, Amanda.
Hi, everyone. So as Tanya said, my name's Amanda Woodhull, and I'm from the Yenadin Elementary PAC. But tonight I'm serving in the role of Dpac nominating committee chair. So we're going to work through the election process in the order of our bylaws. And that's chair first, vice chair, treasurer, recording secretary, communications officer, Dpac rep to BCPAC, and then members at large, and up to 3 of those positions. We have received several nominations in advance, and with each of those nominations being accepted by the nominee prior to this meeting. In addition, we will also welcome other nominations to be made from the floor tonight. And those nominations could be made either for someone else or self-nominations. For those nominations that we received tonight from the floor, I will confirm that the candidate who's putting their name forward, or if they're being named by someone else, accepts that nomination before moving on. So acceptance of the nomination can be made through the chat function if you feel more comfortable doing it that way. Once I put out a final call for all nominations of that position, we'll then move to using the poll feature in the vote, or the poll feature that you've already used for voting for the agenda and whatnot. And then in the case where there might be one or more candidate, you will be directed to select the person you are in favor for. So you're going to check the mark beside the person that you're in favor for. All ballots will have the option to abstain. At the end of the election process, once we've gone through all the positions, I'll be making a motion to approve the entire executive team as presented so that we can record that in our minutes. It's just we're doing it a little different than we normally do in person because we're coming through Zoom. So if there's no questions, just wait a second if there is any questions. Nope. Okay, so we will move to the role of chair. So we have received one nomination, Tanya Sargent, who has accepted the nomination. I'd now like to make an open call for anyone else to put their name forward. And anyone, again, you can put it in the chat or jab out or put up your hand. No cameras. So if there's no other nominations, we'll proceed to the vote. And reminder, you're just going to put your click it beside. So just let me launch the poll here. And if everyone can vote now. Okay, Tanya, you are the successful. So actually, maybe I should say, Tanya, do you want me to share or just to confirm?
You can share if you want. Doesn't.
No, yeah. So it's a successful positive.
Yeah.
It's a successful vote.
I can see it. Yeah.
You're the new chair of the 21-22 Dpac. So thank you
Leslie
for
had a question.
putting me forward. Yeah, Paulina, go ahead.
Sorry, Leslie had a question in the chat.
She did?
I don't see it.
Me either.
Sorry, it was just for me. So she put, hold on. Wanted to know if it was the vote, if everyone voted or just the current, just.
So at Dpac, only the Dpac reps are eligible to vote. Sorry, I should have clarified that. I thought we went. Anyways,
No worries.
it's only the only Dpac reps that are eligible to vote.
And just to complicate it further, I'm just going to add to that we actually have one Dpac rep that holds 2 votes, which we can't do in the poll, but
Well, even if it was the opposite way, it wouldn't have knocked out Tanya. I think Tanya got a resounding support there. So yeah. So we're good. Okay, so Dpac reps only, just for clarity, unless you've been, well, it's just one vote per PAC. Maybe that's a better way to, instead of saying Dpac reps, because you might be here on behalf of your PAC, but not hold the position of Dpac rep. Okay, so we're going to now move on to vice chair. So we have received no nominations for vice chair. So I'd like to open up the floor and see if anyone would like to put their name forward. No one? No one's a taker? Okay, we'll close off that one and we'll move to the next position. Vice chair is one of those ones that we can push forward into the following year if need be. So, but treasurer is a key role for us, and thankfully we already have one nomination, Paulina Lorraine, who has accepted the nomination. And now I'd like to open up to make an open call for any others to put their name forward for the role of treasurer. No other takers? Okay, so I'll just put the final call out for this one. Hearing no others, I'll launch the poll. And congratulations, Paulina. You are the next 21, or the continuing on as treasurer. And thank you for again putting up your name forward and your willingness to move ahead next year. So now we're going to move to the role of recording secretary. We have received one nomination, Chris Schultz Lorenzen, who has accepted the nomination. I'd now like to ask if there's any other nominations for this role. Nope. No one wants to run against Chris in the recording secretary, the coveted recording. No. Okay, I will launch this poll. And we have Chris being elected into the position of recording secretary. Thank you, Chris. We're now going to move to the role of communications officer. And we again have received one nomination, Katie McElgan Jonas, who has accepted the nomination. But I would like to now make an open call for any other people to put their name forward for this role. Sorry, trying to watch the chat and all the other ones. So it looks like no other are putting their name forward. So I'll launch the poll. And Katie, you've been successfully voted in for the communications officer role. Thank you very much. We're now going to move on to the BC PAC or the Dpac. So Dpac, sorry, I always get this one wrong. Dpac rep to the BC PAC. Is there any nominations for this? We have not received any, and so it is a position that we would really like to fill. It's an important role. Is there anyone from the floor that'd like to put their name forward? Craig Towers from the floor. He got convinced. Sorry, I've been trying to text him behind the scenes. So Craig Towers is going to put his name forward. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to put their names forward? As it's a self-nomination, I'm assuming that he's okay with accepting the said nomination there. So, okay, I will, sorry, have to edit the poll just a sec.
I think Tanya will have to do that from her end.
I think so, yeah. So just last call on the BC PAC to Dpac, or Dpac to BC PAC.
Just give me a quick. For some reason, it's not letting me edit the poll.
I think Amanda, as an option, we could just raise hands, or
Yeah,
we
I
could
think that's
just
a
say if anyone
good
is
suggestion.
opposed to it, they should maybe say something.
Or you can add a new poll.
And then what?
Add a new poll. I can't do it, but I think I think Natalie's suggestion is a good one. If we've got no other nomination on the floor, it's not like we're voting. So I think it's just on all in favor. So if everyone, or if anyone's opposed, because it will be done by acclamation. Oh,
there we go.
There we go. Thanks, Tanya.
Would be automatically by acclamation if there's no other.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. There we go.
Great, thank you, and thanks, Craig, for coming out in the 11th hour with that one. So now we're going to move on to the position of member at large. So we have received several, although one person was voted in under Katie. Katie was willing to stand for both positions, but now she's in the communications officer role that we won't be adding her name there. So I'm just wondering, Tanya, can you update the poll to reflect that? So coming forward for the positions of member at large for the upcoming year is Leslie Higgins, who has confirmed her acceptance. Shauna Spence, who has confirmed her acceptance, and myself, who has confirmed her acceptance. But I now would like to actually open up the floor for any other position or any other members that would like to put their name forward.
poll's been updated.
Thanks. Okay, there's, if I'm hearing no other names, I'll launch the poll. So you don't have to choose one, you can choose as many on this one because there is 3 roles. Sorry for the needed to clarify that. Okay, so Shauna and Leslie and myself are moving forward in the positions of member at large. So I'd like to present the 2021 Dpac executive as chair, Tanya Sargent, vice chair, currently unfilled, treasurer, Paulina Lorraine, recording secretary, Chris Schultz Laurentian, communications officer, Katie McElgan Jonas, Dpac representative to BC PAC, Craig Towers, members at large, Leslie Higgins, Shauna Spence, and Amanda Woodhull. And I'd like to make a motion to present this council for approval of the 2021 Sd42 and District Parent Advisory Council. We now will launch the poll to ensure that this is recorded as part of the minutes. And the motion has passed. Congratulations to everyone. And thank you very much for your willingness. It takes a village and a community to run these things. And we very much appreciate your willingness to put your name forward. So thank you.
Thank you for your assistance. Okay, thank you, everyone. I'm going to be busy this year. Moving on is PAC Voice, I believe.
Hi, Taylor Bean here. I have something to bring up.
Okay.
Awesome. So I'm a mom. My kids go to Tiscanella, but I'm also professionally work as a naturopathic doctor in Maple Ridge. So there's been a concern that has come up for me professionally and as a parent. Pediatrics is a large part of my practice. I see a lot of kiddos. And with that has been an increase in skin issues. And so with that has been my concern with the overuse of hand sanitizer at the school, alcohol hand sanitizer, and how it's basically affecting kiddos' hands. So I know it's been something that Dpac has talked about in the past, clothing being bleached. So I really wanted to bring it to your attention here as a concerned parent, as a concerned healthcare practitioner, because I don't see it going away, the use of alcohol hand sanitizer. So it's more of the overuse, of course, that I'm seeing as the issue. With that is also the very big concern. Tiscanel is a brand new school. All schools are important. And the fact that it is also ruining floors. So it's ruining property as a result of it dripping on the floor. I have a picture from one of the schools of damaged floors. So being a brand new school, and this is occurring currently in our own school, I don't know, if it keeps going, the damage that will continue. So my overall goal with this is the hopes to change out alcohol hand sanitizer for a non-alcoholic form. There is a Health Canada approved formulation that's non-alcoholic. Still can be used for the purposes of decreasing spread of SARS-CoV-2 and hopefully the variants, and washing hands as much as possible with soap instead, because I have these two major issues. Both kiddos' hands what that does to their the microbiome of the hands, what it does to their gut microflora, just from that physiological point of view, because there's evidence now and papers that are coming out in terms of the effect of that. And that essentially leads to a compromised immune system when we start doing that. So this is a kind of a big problem that I see clinically and long term. And so I wanted to bring it here because I have sent emails 3 times to David Vander Guten and Amanda Reber, and I have not heard back from them. So I'm not sure what to do next. I brought it to my own PAC, spoken there. I have spoken to Mark Dalton, our MP, and so now I'm here as to what to do next. How do I make a difference? How can I change this? Is it something that we can continue talking about? Because I'm sure through September through December next year will be still cleaning, but the cleaning supplies that are used, I don't imagine will change. And the same company that makes the non-alcoholic hand sanitizer can also be used to clean the schools as well, with just as good efficacy as well. So yeah, that's what I want to bring forward tonight.
Thank you, Taylor. Does anybody have any comments on this? Harry?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to reply to that. Thank you for that information. That's new information for me, but one of the things that I need to maybe clarify for the others that are on the call here is the superintendent of schools is a school district. We follow the direction of the provincial health office, and there is a document, the K-12 health and safety guidelines for school settings, and there's a companion document produced by the BC CDC for K-12 school settings, and our safety plan that we've developed, which includes hand hygiene protocols for both students and staff, has been developed in alignment with the guidelines, the direction that we've been given, the direction that all school districts have been given. And that safety plan was submitted months ago and reviewed and approved to be in compliance. And the current guidelines, actually, one of the bullets actually states that where there is a hand sanitizer provided, it must have a minimum of 60% alcohol. So I would suggest to you that if you have concerns about the provincial guidelines that have been set for school districts, you may want to follow up with the provincial health office or our medical health officer, Dr. Zabar, because we're not in a position, I'm not in a position to deviate from the direction that's been issued to school districts.
Okay, thank you, Harry. So as in your position, me coming to you with a concern, are you capable to voice the concern coming from myself or the Dpac?
Yeah, I can in a simplified form share with Dr. Zabar that your concern is around the alcohol-based, but I certainly don't have the knowledge that you have. I'm an educator. You're a trained medical professional. You're going to have a better in-depth discussion on this than I'm going to be able to, but I can certainly pass on the concern overall.
Yeah, it would be great, just so they realize that I will be coming with questions and hoping for a revisit, a revamp, because we're creating some unintended consequences is what's happening. And the literature is quite clear that we're not in a good state, and it may actually make matters worse. And there's a solution. There's an easy solution and just as cost effective. Yeah. So I don't know who he is, and can I send you a message to get contact?
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly, if you want to send me an email with some of the details, I'll forward it on to Dr. Zabar. She is our medical health officer for Fraser Health, And when I forward that on to her, I will copy you on it, and that will link the two of you up. And my experience has been that Dr. Zabar is very open to having discussion. I contact her on a regular basis as we continue our journey through this COVID experience.
Okay. And is Amanda a good person to talk to? She's very difficult.
Yeah, so Amanda is our health and safety manager, and really she is the one that I work with to ensure that our protocols, our safety plans for both students and staff meet the very guidelines that I've just referred to. So I think because you're questioning the actual guidelines we're following, the place to have that discussion would be with the authorities that we're taking that direction from.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you. Awesome. Thank you for letting me speak. I really appreciate it.
And maybe Harry, you can just touch on the SPP thing as well.
Oh yeah, thanks for that, Chris. I would have forgot. So just an update on the stained clothing concerns we had. I think it goes back to February. We had sent a message out to principals and asked them to put a notice in their newsletters, so all principals did that through their newsletters prior to spring break, making parents aware that this concern had arisen at some school sites, and if they had any concerns, to please follow up directly with the principals. So our principals have some of that information. If there's any other additional concerns that come up, please do direct those concerns to the principal. Our deputy secretary treasurer is our school district contact with the schools protection program, and the schools protection program essentially is our insurer for any liability matters. And so Monica Schulte, our deputy secretary treasurer, has been in communication with schools protection program. We have advised principals to hang on to whatever information that they have from parents. And so we are waiting for further direction from schools protection on this, what essentially is an insurance matter.
Thank you, Harry.
Thank you.
Is there anything else to come forward at this time?
Sorry, one last thing. Harry, how do I get your email?
Oh, I'll
put it in the chat.
Chris, I can put it in the chat. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor, for bringing this up, and Harry for responding. If there's nothing else to come forward at this time, I'd like to adjourn. Can I please have somebody move? Somebody, thank you, Ari, and seconded, Juliet. Thank you. And is there any discussion? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pop the poll, and there we go. Okay, so all in favor to adjourn the meeting at 8:47 p.m. Our next meeting is scheduled for September. It is scheduled for Zoom, and we will decide what it looks like then. All right. Thank you very much, and enjoy your summer. And thank you very much for all of your hard work this year. Bye.
Have a good summer, everyone.
Have a good
Bye.
summer.
Bye-bye.
Well, it went well.
We can maybe stop the
Stop the recording.
recording. Oh, I can